The next thing you know, pops up out of the top of the screen underneath another person's name was pornographic obscenities that I can never unsee again. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, the City of Pickering didn't even report this to the police until 2 days later after the fact.
I was just looking.
Councillor,
Why no
it's
apology?
under police investigation.
That doesn't mean you can't give an apology, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor.
Well, folks, just when you thought it couldn't get any more wacky and surreal at the City of Pickering, well, it gets more wacky and more surreal. As previously reported, the City of Pickering is all about censorship and shutting down public discourse. For example, journalists have to be approved by a 2/3 majority in order to cover city council meetings. Nobody is allowed to video record meetings. If someone dares to ask an impolite query, they can expect to be frog marched out of City Hall by an armed police officer.
Why is law enforcement almost indistinguishable from Antifa these days?
Not that this is a concern anymore, because all council meetings are now being conducted exclusively online due to safety issues. No, folks, I swear I'm not making this up. But get this, at a recent online City of Pickering meeting, an unknown participant shouted racial slurs, presented a swastika, and even exposed pornography. And yet the city did nothing to stop this vulgarity and this pornography from taking place. So much for safety, I guess. And joining me now is Lisa Robinson. She is the lone City of Pickering councillor who has been advocating for free speech and transparency at Pickering, and someone who has paid a steep price for trying to get the censorious thugs at the City of Pickering to do the right thing. So, Lisa, take us back to this crazy online meeting. What exactly happened?
Yes, this was the most craziest meeting I've ever been to. And they didn't even know that I was in attendance, because I was with a friend and I knew that the climate adaptation meeting was going on. And I wanted to see what they were going to talk about, because it had to do with climate, of course. So I wanted to see what I could find out.
By the way, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
What does the City of Pickering have to do with climate adaptation?
It's part of their plan. I'm telling you. Honestly, there's a lot of things that the City of Pickering are doing that has to do with things like this, because they are following basically the 2030 agenda.
Right.
Even in the last meeting, it was confirmed by a consultant when I was asking questions that yes, this consultant was very heavily involved with the UN 2030 agenda, and the mayor was calling me a conspiracy theorist. So
Are you in alignment with the United Nations, the Global Compact, and their 10 principles, their Sustainable Development Goals of 2030?
So I'm glad that you asked that question. We actually finished over the last 3 years a program internally at the company called the Million Meals Campaign. And so we actually launched that. It was launched by our CEO and supported across the company because it was tied to one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals around food security.
It's staggering to me. I mean, Lisa, a municipality, I think, but what do I know? They should be concerned with picking up the garbage, shoveling the snow, fixing potholes. Exactly. But again, what do I know? But anyways, I didn't mean to get you off on a tangent there. So take us back again to this meeting, and you're there observing it. And when do things go off the rails?
yeah, so I guess it was a few minutes into it that we actually logged on, and then all of a sudden there was a racial slur. So this person's name came up on the screen, and then a racial slur happened. It was the N-word.
And looks at future climate projections.
Everyone seemed to be pretty unfazed about it. So
Really?
the meeting continued on, and then just a couple of moments after that, you know, there was a swastika that was drawn. Now, you'd have to look at the swastika, you'd have to look at the video to see if it was actually a swastika that was, like, you know, from the Germany swastika, the very hateful swastika.
Right.
But nonetheless, it was written right there on the screen, on the shared screen. And the next thing you know, pops up out of the top of the screen underneath another person's name was pornographic obscenities that I can never unsee again. And it was very explicit. It was very disgusting. It lasted a few seconds, but enough that, well, I don't even want to tell you exactly what it was. I would rather have you show it at some point.
You did off camera. I believe you said you don't think you'll ever be able to eat an apple again. But you know
that
what?
was the second time.
The second time.
The second time.
Okay.
So there's pornography the first time. And then shortly after that, again, you know, you would have thought that the meeting would have been canceled. You would have thought that they would have stopped everybody's microphones or they would have turned off everybody's cameras. But no, they didn't. The meeting continued again. And the next thing you know, this person starts speaking again. And it sounds like, of course, it's bleeped out. But on my version, and what everybody who was on that meeting got to hear was it sounded like somebody was climaxing. Okay. So they're saying the F word over and over and over again, as if they're coming to climax.
To remove someone from the room. So I do apologize for that, folks.
Again, pornographic material came on again, and yes, it had to do with a green apple at the end of it when it was all said and done. And I am completely traumatized, and I could just tell you there is no way I could ever eat another green apple again.
Certainly, I've personally seen you have your mic muted by the mayor. Why are all these shenanigans being allowed to continue?
I have no idea why they were allowing to continue. And, you know, at the City of Pickering, they didn't even put out an apology, for one. They never even apologized to me.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't wanting to debate it. I was just looking
Counselor,
why no
it's
apology
under police
has been done.
investigation.
That doesn't mean you can't give an apology, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor,
It happened.
if you would like
Point
to
of
give
order, I don't think there's debate during other business.
If you want to give an apology for your participation, please do so. But otherwise, the corporation is not commenting on it.
But the fact of the matter is that, you know, the City of Pickering didn't even report this to the police until 2 days later after the fact. Okay, I sent out a video the day after because I was so disturbed about this. The City of Pickering did not send out anything to the police for 2 days after. So were they trying to hide it from the beginning? I think so. They were trying to keep it quiet because there was what I look on the recording that I have, at the time that this happened, there were 24 participants.
Okay.
So I think they were just trying to hide it as if it never happened. And then following that, once I had let a couple of the media outlets know about what had happened with the pornographic and everything else that was displayed and the swastikas and the racial slurs, the City of Pickering said to the Toronto Sun, for example, that somebody hijacked the meeting.
Okay.
Well, even in the video, you'll hear somebody say the meeting was hijacked, and you'll hear the people saying, no, it wasn't.
Somebody hacked the platform.
I don't think someone is hacked. I've just had to remove someone from the room.
And the reason why it was not hijacked was because they didn't have the proper procedures in place. Like I said, anyone could turn on their microphone whenever they wanted to, so they could mute and unmute themselves. Anyone could turn on their camera whenever they wanted to. And that's not the way that a secure meeting should be run. At the last meeting, which was just this following Monday night, I was calling out staff for lying.
And then the last one would be for stricter penalties to be implemented for any Pickering employee, committee member, or contractor doing business with the City of Pickering who is found to have deliberately provided false or misleading information to the council or to the public. And so that would be those six.
Well, Councillor,
yes.
you're going to get a second. You have to get a seconder for that. But I'm going to rule the last one out of order. There's no basis, in fact, for the motion. But anyway,
we should have penalties for staff or
we don't have
anyone for lying.
We don't have any incidents that anybody has lied to us. So
I think I proved that tonight, and we can go back and look at the cameras.
Councillor, I think
it's your word against mine, Mr. Mayor, and people will be able to see on the cameras what transpired.
There was an MAT, which is a municipal accommodation tax, that they want to add a 4% tax onto hotels in the area. And at last month's 2 meetings, one of the directors was caught lying. So of course I say this is happening, they lied, and they don't like that very much. So
even though they were caught in a lie.
They were caught in a lie.
Okay.
Yep. Anyone can go and watch the videos that I produced. And even on Monday night, I mentioned again that they were caught lying. So I'm trying to bring forward a motion that would bring in stricter penalties for any employee, any committee member, any contractor that does work with the City of Pickering, that they would, if they're caught lying deliberately, that, there would be really strict penalties in place up to and including termination. Well, the mayor didn't like that. And I brought that forward at Monday night's meeting. And it was the same meeting that he is now trying to infer that I had something to do with, of course, this meeting that they say was hijacked. Saying that I have something to do with it, which is completely misleading and false.
That's incredible. And Lisa, you mentioned to me that now city staffers are not going to show up at these meetings because is that a safety issue too? I mean, to me, they keep using the word safety. I mean, to me, safety is if there's a downed live wire that might electrocute you. Yeah, that's a safety issue. But it seems that harsh language is a safety issue to these people. Right. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, we'll just go back a step is because I was the only member of council that attended this meeting. You would have thought maybe the other members of council or the mayor would have wanted to go to the meeting to find out what this climate adaptation plan was all about. And remember, I'm not even getting paid. Yeah. So, I got a threatening letter from the CAO actually saying that it was in strict confidence, this letter, which of course it isn't because anyone can do an FOI and find it. And she's telling me that the video that I sent out that was all blocked out so you don't see any of the obscenities or the pornography and whatnot, saying that it was unauthorized. Well, it was a public meeting.
Exactly.
So it's not unauthorized, and it's the same thing that they were doing at our council chambers.
But I guess in terms of hope abounds, just recently, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms recently sent a letter to the Waterloo Catholic District School Board that what you're doing is unconstitutional. You're a publicly funded venue. You can't do this. So on one front, in terms of the mayor and council shutting down coverage of the City of Pickering, because they don't allow video recording either, whether you're a journalist or not, inside the chambers. Maybe for the Justice Center, perhaps they should have another letter go out to your municipality and see if that moves the needle in terms of openness and transparency.
Well, I would love to see a lawyer take this challenge on, absolutely, especially such a group such as the Justice Center, because something does have to be done because people are losing their democratic rights. Yeah. And it's very sad that they're using this whole entire facade about being fearful as a reason to shut down the public being able to participate in any of their democratic rights. And especially since, we see our mayor and we see our councillors out there, we're still showing up for, openings, we're still showing up for special events, photo ops, as they like to call them, and we have no police presence. So if you were really afraid, would you be showing up at all these other events without having any kind of police presence? Or would you even be showing up in your council meetings with your wives there or your children there or even your 8-year-old grandchildren? If you were afraid, would you be doing that? No. So this is all a big fear-mongering. I say it's like, a boy crying wolf. And they just wanted to move to online meetings.
No, and Lisa's right, folks. I mean, at the last meeting, I guess it's going back to November, that was public. My camera woman and I, we encountered at one point 20 police officers from the Durham district came in. If you stumbled upon City Hall that night, you would have sworn there was an active shooter involved. Yeah. There wasn't even a threat of violence, but here, check it out.
Mayor, can you answer that question? Sir. I don't know any other city council in Canada where this is a thing. Sir, we're gonna now the Gestapo is here. Officer, are we trespassed too, Avery and I?
Yes, you are.
Really? But we left when you told us to leave, so what's the trespass?
You're not allowed to come back in.
This has become a personal vendetta between you and the mayor. You have made announcements on this show that you're going to run for mayor in the next municipal election, which will be 2026, I believe.
October.
And maybe the mayor sees you as a threat. Now, I should say, we're all about getting the other side of the story. I reached out in a cordial fashion to Mayor Kevin Nash back in December, and I gave him an open invitation to come in anytime. I'm delighted to hear how he can possibly justify, the censorship, the lack of transparency, and what have you. Tell me, if we fast forward to October of 2026 and you're going to run for mayor, does Mayor Ash have something to worry about?
Oh, he definitely has something to worry about, because I have a lot of great public support right now. And especially, everyone's seeing the way that everything is unfolding. Our mayor, he yells at me during council meetings. He yells at anybody, and I mean anybody, but it's predominantly women who disagree with him. So if he tells somebody to sit down and they don't, he becomes very unhinged. And, I've only seen him really speak disrespectfully to one man. Other than that, it's predominantly women. But just about every single meeting you watch, he yells at me, he turns off my mic. Now he's also, turning off the video like he did the other night, because he doesn't like what I have to say, because I am calling out the truth. I'm calling out the corruption that I'm seeing. And I mean, there has been a lot of lies. And as we were saying, I didn't quite answer your question that you asked just a little while ago, is that even today, they have the CAO and the city solicitor, the CAO and the mayor put out a joint statement saying that now they're not going to have their city staff participate in our committee meetings and our planning development meetings next month and the council meeting next month, because they feel that me calling them out and saying that they were lying seems to be, I'm harassing them in some way because I'm calling out the lies. They said that they are sending a strong message to Councillor Robinson that all employees deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So that was one of the quotes that they put in this, and they say that this is why they're moving to not have staff at our meetings. So they're really perpetuating this fear everywhere and really going after me. But the thing is, shouldn't the city be focusing on sending a very strong message to the directors and the staff that worked at the city, that the residents of Pickering and beyond deserve to be treated also with dignity and with respect, and that they should not be lied to or manipulated? And that's a big problem here.
Hey folks, I know you love it when Rebel News brings you the other side of the story, but unlike the mainstream media who get funded by Justin Trudeau, we don't receive a nickel's worth of government funding, nor would we accept it if offered. But can you help us out? Can you go to rebelfieldreports.com? That's rebelfieldreports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation.